Alright, I'm going to show you how to implement a custom ambient sound stream into your Star Wars Battlefront II map. So I'm going to go through essentially all the steps necessary to do so. What I'm not going to cover is fixing the freaking pandemic's stupid sound munge batch files, because that's annoying to do. I might make a video later in the future covering that. I don't know, it's hard to say. I mean, it's really not that difficult, but yeah, we'll have to see about that later. But I'm not going to be covering that, and I'm not going to be covering creating a new world. So yeah, I already have a custom world created already, so let's get started. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is go to freesound.org. That's where I grab all of my sounds from. Almost all of them from, anyways. And I don't know why it's being so slow. It's not that slow, actually. It requires an account in order to download sounds. You don't have to have an account to preview them, but you do have to have one to download them. But it's completely free, so, you know. And yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and log in. Alright, so now that we're logged in, I'm going to go ahead and search for a sound. Well, actually, first, I guess I'll just explain exactly what this website is. This website is... I wouldn't call it a store, because everything is free, hence the name Freesound. But it's like a search engine. Well, no, it's not like a search engine. It's basically a database for sounds. It's also a community. But yeah, you can search for sounds. You can download them. They're all Creative Commons, more or less, which means that you can use them. I'm not really sure how to explain it. I'm not too familiar with it, but some people require some people request that you credit them. Some people don't care if you credit them. It all depends on the Creative Commons license that they associate with their sounds. And there's I think there's 3 different licenses. But anyways, so yeah, what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to find let's try to find a wind sound. And if we can't find a wind sound, then we'll try to find kind of just typical ambience, kind of like on Yavins, kind of birds and stuff like that, you know. But yeah, so I'll search for wind field recording. Stadium wind, hard rain, strong winds. Let's check this one out. Free sound. Hello? Free sound? What are you doing? Okay, there we go. I don't know why it's... sometimes gotta love good old Flash, or whatever this is using. JavaScript, actually. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and refresh that page just in case it freaks out. I'm gonna go ahead and open that in a new tab because we might use it. Let's check this one out. Wow, really? It's really going this slow? This is ridiculous. Okay, it's not that bad, actually. Okay, that one's not very good. This one's decent. Antarctica. Interesting, huh. Oh wait, nope. I don't like that one. That has other noises in it. That's never a good thing unless you want that for some weird... Unless your map is super edgy and you like going against the machine. I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to find a couple more. Did I say Necropolis? Oh no. Crap, this is a Unreal Tournament thing. Anyways, gulls and waves. Okay, so we're gonna try to find a couple more sounds. And just in case if we want something different, well, let's go ahead and try to find some. Actually, let's add on to the wind. Let's also add rain. Rainstorm. So heavy rain. Oh, David Cage. Oh. Yeah, good rain sound can be hard to find, but yeah, you just have to know how or where to look. Okay, let's reload that page because no. Storms of rain. Wow, really? Is this seriously? Let's go ahead and try to find just rain, not just rainstorm, just rain. Steady rain. Yeah, like I said, it could be difficult to find sometimes. Actually, field recording with, or rather, rain with field recording. Malaysia, interesting. Okay, that sounds pretty intense. Actually, let's go ahead and check this real quick. This is pretty good. 99 megabytes? Oh my goodness. Yeah, let's start downloading that now. Because reasons of it'll take a long time probably. Yeah. Okay, let's go. I'm gonna go ahead and save it to my sound library. Just sounds, I suppose. So many. Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Ugh, God. 3 hours. Wow. Okay, that's glorious. Yeah, I'm not waiting that long. I might have to skip out on this one, but we'll keep it running, download going just in case if it decides to pick up. It's not always this slow. Sometimes it is though. But when we're unlucky, it is. Yeah, this one's not the best. One's not stereo, but it's decent-ish otherwise, I guess. Nope. Actually, you know, we can work with this. We can make this more stereo than it currently is. Oh, speaking of which, you're gonna want your sounds to be stereo, not mono. So, yeah, that's just the way ambient sound streams work. They don't have to be mono, but the general rule is they should be. But yeah. So, try to always make them stereo. But I also will show you how to. But if there's a sound that you really like that's not stereo, it's mono, then there are ways to kind of fake a stereo image of it. It works pretty well. I've done it various times in the past, but you know, you get what you get. So yeah, I'll also cover how to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and cancel that because no, I'm not. No, just no. Whoops, that's not a thing. Wind. That's definitely not a thing. Windy canyon. That one's just creepy. No, never. Really? Yeah, include your mic sounds. That one actually may not be bad. Let's check a couple more. Ooh, this one's pretty good. Ooh, I like this one. It's a little unrealistic, but it sounds cool. You get a little artsy with this one. This one might be a little more difficult to loop. Let's see if it actually does it decently. One might be a little too hard to do. Did I already open that one? Yeah, I did. Okay, good. Into the grass.
Ветер у травы.
No one cares. What with rigging? What does that even mean? Depending on... This one's pretty long. We could just cut out that weird squeaking sound if it's pretty isolated, which is unlikely. But, okay, yeah, that's 40 megabytes. Yes, no, no, not happening. Which one was this? That was the huge one. Might as well just close that one. Yeah, let's go ahead and download this one. What? Oh, never mind. Oh, I thought that was that. Alright, let's let that download. Okay, so we have that. Alright, so we have a rain sound. Let's continue to try to find wind. Hopefully it's not... Yeah. Bottom forest wind. Yeah, no, I can already tell this one's not. This is 17. Yeah, no, it's not happening. Holy crap. Sounds intense. Jesus Christ. Let's see. What's this? Too short, that's what it is. Yeah, the thing with ambient streams is you don't want to make them too short, because our ears, humans' ears, they can, or rather, I guess it's more of our brain, that we tend to recognize patterns in sounds and stuff. So if an ambient stream sound is too short, then the players will, if they pay any attention whatsoever, or if they just play your map for a long time, or just often, they play, if they play your stuff a lot, then they're gonna start noticing like the patterns in the sound streams. But so yeah, you don't want to keep it too long either, just because of the sheer file size. But you know, let's try to do this. Let's go ahead and download it. Okay, so yeah, this one shouldn't be too bad. Hopefully, with great luck. Yeah, if we need, we can crossfade them too, which I'll show you how to do as well. Yeah, so this one's almost done downloading. It's just about done. Perfect. There we go. Alright, so let's find where we downloaded it to, and open it up in Audacity. And actually, I'm not going to open it. Normally, I open it with Audacity, just like directly, if it's unless Audacity is already open. But since I already have Audacity open, I will go ahead.
Okay.
Indeed. I'll go ahead and just import it normally. So what you do is you go to, in case you've never used it for some reason, Audacity is the best program like ever. Not really, but it basically is. At least for free. So yeah, I'm just gonna kind of go through this as if you haven't, just assuming that you haven't used it before, but I won't take too long in describing things and whatnot. So what you do is you go into File, Import Audio, and then you find your file, computer, external hard drive, files, Battlefront II stuff, sounds and streams, library, sounds. And an easy way to do this is to just, if you have like a crap ton of sounds, is to just sort by date modified. So these are the two things I downloaded today. Look at me. Okay, so I'm gonna just start off with the wind howling, since it's kind of like our our base. So yeah, okay, good. It's in 48,000 hertz. 4,800. That'd be so few. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna normalize it. So what you do is you go to Effects, or first I'm gonna deselect that. So you go to Effect, Normalize, and what this does is it does exactly that. It removes any DC offset. That usually doesn't make much of a difference, but it's just good to do because of reasons of space magic. No, but and normalize maximum amplitude to make sure this is set to 0 decibels. I believe by default it's normally set to -1.0, but if it is, then set it to 0, and then hit OK. And what this does is it's kind of like Amplify, but it does a couple other things, which is, or rather one other thing, which is the removing the DC offset. But yeah, so here we go. It maximizes, I guess you could say, the loudness of the track, of the selected track that you applied the effect to, and it maximizes it to, like, in the sense that it's as loud as it can be without clipping, or should I say, without it distorting or having static behind it from, you know, being over loud. So yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and check that, and that sounds horrible. That click. Oh, so I should probably go over, like, the general keyboard controls for this. So it's pretty similar to other audio editing software as well as video editing software, in that spacebar is play and pause. If you want to delete something, you select it and then hit the delete key. And obviously Control Z or Control Y to undo and redo. Also, let's see what else. Yeah, those are the most basic keyboard commands. But there's also things like if you're playing currently, if you're currently playing a track and you want to immediately skip to a part, you would while it's playing, you would hold Control and then click on wherever you want it to start playing. So like that. Make sure you're holding Control, you just left click. And then, of course, spacebar again to stop. And so yeah, that's playing from different parts of the track. What else is there? Okay, you can remove tracks by pressing the X, and of course you can undo that. You can add tracks by going to Tracks, Add New, Audio Track, which Audio Track is for mono, and Stereo Track is obviously for stereo. So there's that. Yeah, it's, like I said, it's pretty similar to video software and other audio software as well. so you can also left click and drag around to select parts of audio. And with that, this is kind of, the select tool is kind of like, I like to think of it as like the main, kind of like your main tool that you use in Audacity, which is the same in like a lot of these kinds of programs, like I've said a couple times already. Like you do everything, you do not everything, but a lot of things with selections. Like for instance, if I wanted to if I wanted to make this part of the track, let's see, if I wanted to reverse it for some reason, I would select that and then go to Effect Reverse, and that reverses it. Sounds a little weird. It doesn't sound too different because wind is weird, or just wind is wind, or you know. But yeah, or if you wanted to change the pitch of that part, you would go to change pitch after selecting it, and maybe up pitch, or maybe up pitch it a bunch. Obviously, it sounds terrible, but you know, which is why I don't play with change pitch often. Okay, so anyways, moving on. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get rid of this ugly click here, that little sound, because it's horrible, and it's probably the uploader / recorder touching their mic or something, I don't know. But yeah, so you just select it and then hit the delete key, and there you go, it's gone. Deleted from history, just like deleting your criminal records. Okay, so let's try it out now. I'm gonna go ahead and mute Outlook because I don't want that there. And what I was kind of doing there when I was skipping ahead a little bit was I was checking these high peaks to make sure that they're not like the freaking author of the sound hitting his mic. But yeah. So all sounds good. We're gonna go ahead and normalize it again because I think that thing there, it looks like this range of samples here is where it's what this is like where the maximum amplitude of the entire track is, it looks like. There might be one more that's pretty close anyways somewhere else, but it doesn't look like it. So yeah, so when you remove like little loud clicks like that, you should typically re-normalize your track so it'll actually be normalized instead of being restricted to that stupid little background noise. So yeah, I'm gonna re-delete that. And yeah, so let's see how this sounds when we make it loop. Or rather, let's see what I guess a better way to say that would be, let's see how it sounds when it loops around. Because what we need to do is make it, the entire track seamlessly looping. Or rather not seamlessly looping, make it able to be looped seamlessly, I guess you could say. So you is, you go to effect, by the way, if you just have one track like this, you don't have to bother selecting the entire track if you want to apply just an effect to the entire thing. You can just, you don't have to select the entire thing. If you just go to effect and like just select an effect, it'll automatically select the entire track. And I believe if you have two tracks, then it'll do both of them. I want to say, yeah, it does. Okay, so that's what I thought. Go ahead and delete that duplicate. And by the way, it's really useful to know, not terribly useful, but you know, selecting the track right here, that selects the entire thing. So that's just an easy way to select an entire track. you know. So the best way to preview, or no, to check if you're, or I guess you could say that to test to see if something is, if a track is seamless, is to go to effect, repeat, and then number of times to repeat, set that to 1. That makes it so it'll, you know, repeat once. And that basically duplicates the track, sending it to the very end of the first instance of it. Or, yeah. So this is, I can pretty much assure you that this is not going to sound seamless, and if it does, then I'd be really surprised. So let's test it out. We'll test it out a little closer. That's what I thought. Okay, alright, so, actually, I don't remember if I renormalized. No, I did not. First, I'm going to renormalize it. Yep, that sounds good. Did it even... No, it's freaking out.
Nice.
It's not that long. Calm down. There we go. How much did that do it by? Not too much. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so... Let's see. Yeah, so my kind of workflow when making tracks seamless is, first I have 2 instances of the track, and then I kind of work at the point. I kind of work in the area around where they're you know, where they meet, the two instances of the track where they meet, like right here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna basically, what's the best way to explain this? We're gonna take part of the end of this track, and then cut it, and then we're gonna crossfade the tracks. There we go. Yeah, that's a good way to explain it. If you would go ahead and undo that action, there we go. So yeah, we're gonna crossfade the tracks, and it's not terribly difficult. It takes a little time, but it's not hard at all. It's pretty easy. Relatively painless. In fact, I don't even need to have. I don't really even need to have this duplicated like this, but I'm gonna keep it like that just because. Well, actually, not gonna bother. No, stop it. Okay, so we're gonna select. How long do we want to select? Well, that. Yeah, we don't like that. Let's go ahead and snip that off. Delete. Select delete. Okay, so let's see, how long do we want? Let's make it about a roughly 5-second-ish crossfade, I'd say. Yeah, that sounds about right. So we're gonna select about roughly the last 5-ish seconds. That's 4.3 seconds, but whatever, close enough. Gonna hit Control X to cut it. Then we're gonna press Home to go to the very beginning of the timeline, which is, you know, the timeline. The numbers at the top. It's a lame way to explain it, but that's, yeah, basically that. Just like other audio and video programs. And then we're gonna create a new stereo track, and we're gonna paste the audio track to we're gonna paste our clipboard to the beginning, the new stereo track. And so here we have this. Let's test it out. It's not actually too noticeable, but this cuts out. Obviously, it doesn't even really require previewing at all. But it's obvious that it is. Luckily, it's silent, so it doesn't really make a huge noticeable difference. But, you know, still, the general rule of thumb is to not have cutoffs like this when you're crossfading things, just in general. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the entire thing, or maybe just that much-ish, roughly. And then we're going to go to Effect and Fade it out. So, yeah, fade out. Let's preview that. Just soloed. And by the way, these buttons solo, that it's probably pretty self-explanatory, but solo makes it so you can listen to only one track at a time, or rather, so that all other tracks, but all tracks but the one that is soloed are muted. So like that, like yes, and when they're grayed out like this, that means they're muted. So yeah, so let's go and preview it. It's a nice fade out. Okay, perfect. And the mute buttons, I don't even need, I'm not even going to explain that, that's pretty obvious, but it mutes it, so, yeah. I guess I did just explain it, so I lied. And actually on that note, you can have multiple tracks soloed. There's no limit to the amount that you can have soloed. So like if I wanted 2 tracks soloed, then yeah, I can do that. Yeah. Okay. So we have that. And now we need to, so we have the beginning of the track set up for crossfading, but we don't have the beginning of the track, or the end of the track set up for crossfading. We only have the beginning set up. So we're gonna, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna select about the same amount, or rather, I guess this is exactly the same amount, and this snaps with that yellow line down that yellow vertical line means it's snapped to the end of the track. We're gonna select that, cut it again, and then we're gonna just paste it anywhere around down the bottom, and then yeah, and so that now we have this down here. Obviously, we don't want it right there, so we're gonna, try to get a little closer. So I only just recently found out about this tool. It's called the time shift tool. It makes it so you can drag around pieces of track. So, and you can probably guess what we're gonna do now. We're gonna go ahead and slide that over. The best thing, the reason why this is so useful is because it snaps to things. So. Yeah, it can snap to ends of tracks and labels and such. Make sure that's snapped. Okay, good. And so, yeah, we have that. Let's go ahead and listen to that. So that, obviously, that cuts in. That's obviously a much more prominent cut-in. So we're going to go ahead and fade that in by selecting it. Then go into Effect, Fade In. Now let's try that out. Alright, that sounds pretty good. Now we're gonna test both tracks with now we're gonna test the seamlessness, I suppose, of both tracks. So you go to Effect again and repeat. Hit Enter. And then let's test this out. Alright, that sounds wonderful. In my opinion, anyways. Yeah. And now the last, basically, like, the last step to mixing this part of the track, or to mixing the wind, our wind part of the ambient stream, is to select both tracks by holding Shift, and then selecting both of them. And so Shift is kind of like Control, but for some reason, I don't think Control... Yeah, Control, for some whatever weird reason, doesn't select both things. I don't know why. It's weird. I guess it's like Maya, in that sense. Friggin' Maya. Actually, it's probably because Control already does that, so, what can you do? So, yeah. Okay, so we're going to select both tracks. You can also... if these are your only 2 tracks, you can also hit Control-A to select all tracks. And then we're going to go to Tracks, and Mix and Render. And what this does is it mixes all the selected tracks together, so like that. And it doesn't look terribly different, but it's, it's more obvious in the end. But yeah, so now we're gonna test out the seamlessness just to make sure that it worked, even though there's really no reason why it wouldn't. But, you know, it's a good practice, I guess. And another cool feature in Audacity is the ability to repeat the last effect used, as well as that effect's settings. Or rather, repeat the last effect used with that effect's settings that you set. Like, yeah. And the shortcut to that is Control-R. So you just hit Control-R, bam. Perfect. It's repeats like that. Instead of having to go all the way down here, it's so many steps. No, 1, 2, 3, like 3 or 4 steps. So many. It's not that many, but you know, it's good workflow. It minimizes time spent clicking on menus and such. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and test the seamlessness of this, even though I know for a fact that it's good. Yep, perfect. Alright, that's absolutely spot on. Okay, I don't think we should need to normalize this again, but I might do so anyways, just because. Actually, yeah, it looks like there aren't. It's hard to say. Okay, so it did a little bit. I don't know why, that's weird. But, yeah. Okay, I'm really curious about this little bit there, just because. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Yeah, should be good. Okay. Alright, so now we're gonna get our rain sound in here as well. So, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So we're gonna... The hotkey, by the way, for importing audio is Control-Shift-I. It's quite a few buttons, or keys, excuse me, keys, rather. It's quite a few keys, but it's... Once you get used to it, it becomes pretty easy to do, to press, but... Okay, so this is our rain sound right here. It's pretty short. That's not too bad. Okay, so we're gonna first, actually, we're gonna just go ahead and mute this track, since right now we just want to work with the rain. Gonna go ahead and this is where we're gonna want to actually start selecting our track, selecting tracks. But yeah, so because if we don't, then the stuff that we do, like when we start using effects without selecting tracks, it's going to be applied to both. So that's why we need to select the track that we want to apply it to. So yeah, what we're first going to do is going to normalize it naturally. Yep, there we go. Hopefully, a lot of recordings, you want to make sure that the very, very beginning of the recording isn't like that there's no silence, that it's exactly sound. I guess you could say exactly that there's sound throughout the entire thing, because sometimes there's not. So yeah. Whoops, that would take me to the end of that. Oh, I forgot to mention this earlier, but Control plus the scroll wheel zooms you in and out. Obviously, I mean, that's like the case in every program ever, except all the ones that's not the case, in which case I'm wrong. But yeah, so let's go ahead. So now that we've normalized our rain track, we're gonna test it out. So the nice thing about rain is it's usually pretty easy to make seamless, just due to its nature, since it's already kind of random with each like raindrop. So, but let's go ahead and test it out. So sometimes it's not, though. Like if the amplitude of like the start and end are different, it actually looks pretty seamless already. So let's test it out. Like I said, it's usually pretty easy to do, pretty painless. Just gonna go ahead and make sure that. They're good. So another way to kind of make tracks seamless is to zoom in all the way to where you can see the individual little samples, and a sample is each kind of like block, I guess you could say, between these little ticks in the waveform, in the wavelength. Yeah, so each one of these is a sample. So you want to zoom in until you can see all of them, and then you want to make sure that that the two are relatively close to each other, like pretty close. And these two are close enough already, so we don't really have to worry about it. However, we're gonna might as well just make it so it's a little closer, just because. So kind of select that and delete it, and yeah, it should be good. Yeah, it's good. And then, so what this thing is this is kind of like this like line here. That's kind of that's a separator that separates the tracks, obviously. But if you click it, then it combines them. It merges the two tracks. So, yeah, clicking it merges the two tracks, which is useful in cases that you need to have multiple like looped parts. Like in this, like for instance, in our case, the rain track, our rain sound is significantly shorter than our wind sound, so yeah, we want to you know, we don't have to merge them, but it looks nicer, I guess, and it's a little easier to work with, but it's not absolutely necessary or anything really. But yeah. Okay, so actually I'm gonna keep that there, because I wanna duplicate that with, or rather, I guess, use the repeat effect to repeat that one more time. And actually, before I start repeating these, I'm gonna first delete that, and then now what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna show you how to make this mono track into stereo. So I'm gonna go to tracks, add new. You can also do Control-Shift-N, but I don't add tracks usually. Well, I kind of do. I don't add audio tracks too often. It's usually stereo, but for me. But yeah, so we're gonna add a new audio track, and then we're gonna actually, instead of doing that, we'll just duplicate it. So you can press select the rain track, and then Control D to duplicate it. And yeah, we have that. I have both tracks here. Okay, so now we're gonna change the it's gonna sound weird, but we're gonna change the channels of the tracks. I'm gonna change this one to Cartoon Network and that one to HBO, where we'll watch Game of Thrones. No, but okay, so basically what I mean when I say we're gonna change the channels of the tracks is, well, first of all, a channel in audio terminology is like, it's like the position, I guess you could say, of the sound in a sense, or rather of a speaker, but not exactly. Like, for instance, a stereo set of speakers, it comes with two speakers, the left channel speaker and the right channel speaker. And so, you know, yeah, you have your left channel and your right channel. And then in the case of a 5.1 surround sound setup, you have the left channel, the front left channel speaker, the right left channel speaker, the center channel speaker, the rear left channel speaker, and the rear right channel speaker, and the subwoofer channel, which is the 0.1, hilariously. Which I will always find kind of somewhat amusing that they call it 0.1. But that kind of makes sense. But yeah, so okay, now that we have our tracks duplicated, I'm gonna actually first, what is this? I'm gonna see what this little thing here is. I zoom in that, not zoom in that far, but okay, that's just a really loud. It's just like one really loud raindrop. Okay. Okay, so what we're gonna, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna set the first track to the left channel, and to do that, we're gonna select the I guess you could say select the name of it. I guess you could say next to not select the X, of course, because that, as we know, deletes the channel, or the track. We're gonna select the part with the arrow, the downwards facing arrow. Wow, really? Audacity, come on. Should probably save my project just in case. Okay, good. I don't know why it's stuttering. And actually, come to think of it, I'll just do that now. So save project as. Go call it tutorial sound 1. Sure, why not? And sometimes if you have like a long, like quite a few minutes of audio and you have several tracks, it might take a little longer to save. but yeah. So okay, so now we're actually gonna select. So yeah, we're gonna change the first track to left channel by by selecting the arrow part here. I don't know what the name of it is. I don't think it has a name. Probably doesn't. Rather, actually, I guess actually a good name to call it is the channel properties. I guess you could, or not the channel. I keep saying that. The track properties. So what you just select it, and then you change it from mono. You select left channel, and then we're gonna do the same with the other track, but change it to right channel. And another way you could actually do that instead of doing that is you could change the panning of the track. That basically does this. It's the same effect more or less, but like it's different, but not really. But yeah, so the way you would do that is you would just drag the slider to the left for the left track, and then all the way to the right for the right track. But I'm not going to do that way because reasons. In case you're wondering what this slider up here is, that's the loudness of the track. Like I'll just show you. Excuse me. So if you're playing, you can even I believe you can change this in real time while you're playing a track. Like let's test it out actually. Yes, you can. Perfect. Okay, cool. You can also right. Yep. So yeah, you can do that. But like I said, I'm gonna do it the other way because reasons. And what I'm also gonna do is, actually, what I'll go ahead and do now is I'll rename all my track names just to stay organized. So I'm gonna call the wind track wind, and then I'm gonna call the left channel rain track rain L for left, obviously, and then the other the last track, our right channel track, rain R for right, obviously. So okay, so now we have both tracks, you know, kind of mapped out channel wise correctly. So now let's preview it. Uh-oh. As you can see, it's not quite right. Even though they're both in their own channel, even though one track is in the left channel and one track is in the right channel, when you play them together, they don't sound stereo. They still sound mono. I don't have the very good explanation as to why this is, but that's just the way it works. Actually, I think I kind of know. It's because, like, with stereo tracks, typically stereo tracks, basically always, if it's a true stereo track, they really won't ever be identical, like the two channels, the two audio channels. Typically, one will at least be delayed a little bit. So that's exactly what we're gonna do here. We're gonna delay one of the channels by hardly anything, which is what you want to do. By like, what's the standard? Like about 0.001 seconds. I believe that's a millisecond. I don't know. I think that's a millisecond. So yeah, we're gonna, let's go ahead and delay the right channel just because. So the way I would do this originally is I would just select the track, cut it, and then go to where the, about 0.001 seconds, then just paste it. But I don't have to do that anymore because now I know about time shift tool. Yay, it's easier now. So we'll just switch to that and then click and drag it to where we want it. That's about right here. Yeah, it's a little further, but yeah. So now let's test it out. Okay. And so now it should sound like the left channel is louder than the right channel, and that's normal. So what we're going to do is we're going to decrease the volume. We're going to decrease the amplitude of the left channel just by using this slider because it's easier to do, and you can do it in real time anyway. So yeah. So let's go ahead and do that right now. That really does not... That sounds really weird. Hold on. Actually, I think it's... I want to say we... Actually, you know what? Let's just do this. Let's make this one really quiet. Let's make the left one really quiet. And then let's That's weird. I'll have to... I think I might not have delayed it enough. The usual is about like -6 to -9, roughly, I think. Or yeah, around -6. Doesn't sound very good. Let's. The bigger the delay, the wider the stereo image. So let's go ahead and make that around more like 0.02. Actually, instead of only delaying the right channel, let's also switch it up a little. Like well, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make it so it starts like more around the middle. So it's actually truly different from the left channel. And actually, even if I do that, I probably won't even need to delay the channels, or the tracks, rather. I keep doing that. Let's go ahead and try that. I'm gonna put this back there, and whoops, we can, didn't know that. Okay, so it looks like we can, like, kind of do that. Interesting. Make sure it's snapped to the beginning, like, actually. That's good. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and reset the gain of the left channel. Okay, how do I want to go about this? This should be pretty easy since it's already seamless. We're gonna select, like, roughly... Actually, let's not make it exactly half. Let's make it a little less than half. We're gonna select the first, like, 4/5 or so of it. And then we're gonna go select the very end of the track, make sure it's actually snapped to the end by seeing that the yellow vertical line is there, and then hit Control V to paste it. And then this is another situation in which you would typically merge the tracks with that by clicking on that vertical bar. Then yeah, so let's test this right now how it is. Perfect. Yes, this is exactly what I want. Yes, perfect. Okay, this sounds wonderful. Okay, awesome. Spectacular. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is now that we have both of our rain channel tracks, whatever, kind of done, I guess you could say, we're gonna make them into their own. We're gonna make them not separate, I guess you could say. We're gonna merge them into a stereo track. And I believe the way, I don't do this all the time, but I believe the way you do that is, yeah, you just, okay, so, yeah, that's what I thought. You just select the track properties, and, I believe it has to be the first one, the one on top, that you do it with, you would go to, let's try this. Okay, yeah, you can't even do it with this one. Yeah, you can't even do that one. Yeah. So select that, make stereo track, and bam, they're stereo now. So now, we're gonna make it so this is the same length as the wind track. And let's rename this, go ahead and rename this to rain. Just to keep ourselves organized. Okay, now we're gonna duplicate, oh, we already have repeat there, perfect. I'm gonna duplicate it a couple times. Hopefully it's not, hopefully once we do it again it won't be like, hopefully it'll be seamless. It should be. Let's check though. I'm gonna go ahead and trim that down like that. Whoops. That, duplicate it, make sure it's seamless. That should be good. Whoops. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Okay. Okay, now let's test this out with our wind. Try decreasing the audio a little bit, again, right a little bit. .5 is good. And by the way, the way to get that dialog box there is to double click the slider and then just type in your value. You can do the same with the panning slider too. I believe it's 0 to 1, or 0 to 1. Okay, that's what I thought. And then 0 to recenter it. I should have recentered it. I think it did. Yeah, it did. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is good. So now we have both tracks. Let's go ahead and make sure that it sounds good when they're looped, or when they're like together. Let's make sure they sound seamless together. Whoops, it's not what I wanted to do. I believe, yeah, okay, good. Repeat's still there. Gonna repeat them. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so I should be about done with our track. So now we're gonna export the track. We're gonna export it as wave, and so now we're gonna get into sample rates and all that fun stuff. So basically, the rundown for sample rates is, well, first off, you can set the entire project sample rate here by just clicking on the arrow thing there, and then selecting your sample rate. Typically for ambient sound streams, it should be either 44,100 hertz or 48,000 hertz. Sometimes 32,000 is fine. It depends. You have to test out to see if you don't lose too much, to see how much fidelity you lose by doing that. The way project sample sample rates it works is like it kind of sets. I guess you could say it sets the upper pitch for the sound. So like I'll show you. I'll just go ahead and show you by setting this to actually, let's just go ahead and step it down by one. We shouldn't notice too much of a difference, but let's go ahead and see anyways. Yeah, not much difference there. I'm gonna go ahead and click that area and then scroll up to change it to 32,000. We can also just select it normally. Yep. You could start to hear a difference. Then 22,050. That sounds pretty bad. Pretty awful. 16,000. 11,050. 25. Okay, that sounds even worse. 8,000. Yeah, that sounds pretty terrible. So yeah, so the recommended sample rate is 44,100 or 48,000. And another way to you can also say these in kilohertz. So, and to do that, it's just you just basically remove the first three zeros. So this would be 48 kilohertz instead of 48,000 hertz. It's just quicker to say and type, but yeah. So I don't know if we'll really keep the only track that's the rain track actually is originally 44 kilohertz only, and the wind one is the one that's 48,000. But do we lose that like upper pitch if we set it to that? Not really. Let's go ahead and check that area out. What a bird? Freaking bird. Bird man. No, but yeah. Yeah, I'll go ahead and just keep it at 44 kilohertz. We're not really losing much fidelity. Or really any, basically. And besides, the upper pitches will probably be washed out anyways by other background noise. Like shots being fired. Shots fired? No, but, yeah. So, yeah, 44,100 hertz should be good, I believe. So we're going to set it to that. You can also, by the way, change this value. You could just type in a value if you want as well. To, like, say if I wanted, like, 24,000 hertz. That's what I use for almost all my voiceovers in Mass Effect Unification. Because that's actually, I believe that's the rate that they're exported in. For, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. But, yeah. Pretty small. Makes it so it's a pretty small file size. Which, actually, yeah, so I'll go into that a little bit as well. So the high, basically, it's actually really simple. The higher the sample rate, the larger the file size. So yeah, you don't want to be too I guess too liberal with it. I hope I don't have liberal and conservative mixed up. That'd be hilarious. And embarrassing. No, but yeah. So yeah, I think this is good. Perfect. Okay, now we're gonna real quick save the project. That doesn't export it, by the way. Saving the project. That just saves the Audacity project file. So the way we export this is we go to File, Export, or Control-Shift-E. I usually just go to Export though, unless I'm doing like a bunch of batch stuff, like a bunch of batch exports and stuff of things. But then again, actually, usually I just export selection for that. But anyways, so, yeah. Now we're gonna select our... Actually, first, before we export, let's... Whoops, not mean to do that. Before we export, let's go ahead and create our sound folder. Actually, we can just create... Let's create the directory in the exporter dialog. So, I'm gonna go ahead and go up to my tools folder. Find my tutorial folder, data SFL. Go to sound. I don't think I created a sound folder for this yet. No, I have not. Okay, perfect. And gonna go ahead and create a new folder. Make sure it's named your project, your 3-letter ID. But I'm just gonna go ahead and say this right now. It doesn't have to be named your project's 3-letter ID. Or 3-character ID, rather. It can technically be named whatever you want, but unless you're like working on like a large mod in which you have a crap ton of different sound files, like I do, then I mean there's really no point in not having, or rather, there's really no point in having a different name. It's just, yeah. So anyways, let's go ahead and create that folder, open it up, and then create a folder called Streams. Then open that up. And make sure the file format is saved as Wave Microsoft Synth 16-bit PCM, and there's no options that you have to worry about or anything. You do not have to worry. I cannot stress this enough. You don't have to worry about the bitrate. You do not have to worry about it. You also don't have to worry about the bit architecture, I guess you could say, of the file. Like, it's always going to be 16-bit, so you don't have to worry about that either. And you technically don't have to worry about the sample rate, but I already went over that, so... Like, it's not like sounds won't play if it's some sample rate or another. Although I believe there is an upper limit. I'm pretty sure the Munger will just... I'm pretty sure the upper limit is 48,000 hertz. I've never really tested it, but regardless, there's really no point in going above 48,000 anyways. So, yeah. But, anyways, so let's go ahead and name our file. And the general, and I know Pandemic's file name kind of format was amb underscore, and then the three character ID, so SFL, like that, or SFL capitalized, doesn't matter. I just do that because I'm used to it. And then kind of like not really a description of the sound, but like, for instance, wind or rain. Actually, I don't like that FL. I don't like that either. I'll just keep it. SFL, I'll just call this rainstorm. Or no, just storm. Perfect. And then 01. Normally, if we were doing a quadraphonic mix, I would call this either FNT for front speakers or BCK for back speakers, but since I'm not teaching you how to do this in this tutorial, I'm not gonna bother. I'm not gonna bother. That'll be saved for a different tutorial. But yeah, so instead we'll just keep it. I think Pandemic also did PL2 for the PS2 stuff, which freaking classic PS2 doesn't. I'm pretty sure it didn't support surround sound. At least Battlefront didn't, or at least quadraphonic sound. But yeah. But I'm just going to keep it at that. So, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and save it. Yes. Hit OK. And in case you get any other windows, I'm going to go ahead and re-enable them. In case you get... I'm going to go ahead and re-export it, actually.
I think your butt is a bit more important.
Yes, replace. In case you get a window like this, you're gonna want. Here's what you'll do. You'll luckily we have our tracks named already, so this should be easy. Actually, it's already. Yeah. Okay. So what you would do is you would drag the slider down to 2 channels, and then you would click or the left, and then basically assigning the different track to the different channels. Yeah. I believe channel 1 is left channel, obviously, and channel 2 is right channel, so just keep that in mind. In sound, it's basically always left-right. Actually, it's not just in sound, that's in, like, the entire Western world, but, you know. Not just Western world, too, just almost everywhere. But anyways, so... Yeah, okay, then you would hit OK. And if you also and or whatever, every word that, get this metadata window, you can just go ahead and, I typically, if there's, for some reason, if you, imported music or whatever, it's probably going to have metadata, like IDV3 tags or something, maybe IDV2, whichever. I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter if you keep that metadata, but I always clear it away anyways. So to do so, let's go ahead and type some in just because, like that or whatever. You just hit clear and it's gone. So perfect. And then you hit OK. And to turn those windows off, you go to Edit, Preferences. Make sure you're in Import Export. And then to disable that metadata editor, you would uncheck that. And to disable the custom mix, or rather, I guess it's called the advanced mixing window dialog thing, you would change it to the radio button to always mix all tracks down to stereo mono channels. And hit OK. And then, yeah, you would, yeah. Okay, good. Didn't, like, create a copy.